We've done a terrible job at that because most of our food supply is pretty bad for us. Let's be
Okay,
honest, it's gotten worse and worse.
right, but let's I just want to do a caveat to what you said.
Sure.
We haven't gotten bad at it. We have trusted a system
Yeah,
that has told us what we are being provided with is good for us,
that's right.
right? And we are allowing the advertisement
Hmm.
and we are allowing schools to push an agenda of items that are we are tricked into believing are good for us.
And this is where it gets tricky because most parents don't know that. So if they come to you, and again, even if they do know that, their child is in a system sometimes they can't just break free of or feel they can't break free of that is feeding them this. So what is your advice to that parent that's saying, well, I'm in a system that's doing this?
Right. Well, one of my New York sarcastic remarks is, um, well, if everyone is jumping off a bridge, are you going with them?
It's a very New York remark. Yeah.
Yeah. Because really, I mean, well, but I don't want my kid to feel bad.
Yeah,
Uh, mm, what is your job as a parent?
that's it.
Is your job as a parent to give your children what he or she wants so he or she will feel good? Or is your job as a parent to make choices that are in your child's best interest?
Mhm.
Because a child will always err on the side of I want before ever considering, is this good for me?
Yes.
Right. And so I realize that there are going to be times when parents are going to say, I know this isn't in my child's best interest, but I'm going to choose to give it to him or her anyway. And as long as there are no consequences to that choice, you might have been okay. The problem is when the parents ignore the consequences,
Yes.
when the kids get sick. And I often will tell parents, do me a favor, let your kid eat that. And if your kid gets sick, try to use it as a teaching tool.
Mhm.
Hey, did you notice that you had a stomach ache after you had that? Oh, mom, really? Yeah, well, I'm just wondering, because you didn't have a stomach ache and then you ate that and then you had a stomach ache. You think maybe it's related? Oh, mom, really? Okay. And then the kid does it again, and the stomach ache happens again, and you go, okay, now are you seeing the pattern here? Yeah, I guess so. And those to me are much more valuable than making sure your kid doesn't eat that at all,
Hmm.
right? Because you have to give your child a chance to learn through experience. But sometimes some of those experiences are really toxic, and you just have to be better discerning it. That's all.
Yeah, I think a big part of that also comes from the awareness of what is good or bad. There are so many parents out there that truly believe the kind of, fortified Cheerios and all these other things are good because again, the advertising is there. And there isn't anything to try and combat that that's so in their face. And
Right.
other parents are doing it the whole jumping off the bridge again
Yeah.
analogy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where does one then start to understand how to feed a child and how do we bring the importance back to that building up of the awareness because
Okay.
it
So,
seems like so many parents are confused in this world and don't know what to do and kind
right.
of running around blindly as their children get sicker and sicker.
Well, again, the 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 major teaching in society, from a neurologist to a dermatologist to a pulmonologist to a cardiologist to an ENT doc, your kid can eat anything; it won't affect their health.
Yeah.
To a rheumatologist, right? And that's a hard position for parents to be in because you want to trust your doctors
Mhm.
and you want to believe that if the doctor has said something, they should know, right? But more and more parents are realizing that when a doctor says, no, you can eat anything, it doesn't matter. More and more parents are going, oh, you're an idiot. You're a really. And so the first thing is to recognize that every cell of your body is made up of proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, and water. And so the quality of the cells and the health of the cells are all determined by the quality of the proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, and water that you put in. So that's one thing to look at. Another is if you're thinking of putting something that you think is food into your child's body, first put it on the counter in the kitchen and look at it in a day, look at it in 3 days, look at it in a week, look at it in 3 weeks, look at it in 3 months, look at it in 3 years. And if that material that you believed was okay to put into your child's body is still intact, newsflash, it wasn't food.
Right. It was a product of some sort, but it wasn't food.
It wasn't food. And as I often say, there's no such thing as junk food. It's either junk or food.
Yeah.
But if you take something and you put it on the counter and in hours to days it disintegrates, it's food. So the fact that I even have to talk about what to give kids to eat is a testament to the idea that we forgot what food is. And if it's coming out of a box and it has a huge shelf life, it's probably not giving your child much in the way of vitality.
Yes.
Because that's the other thing. It could say protein has this much protein in it, this many carbs, and this much fat, and this percentage on the RDA of calcium or magnesium or selenium. But we forget that food is also energy,
Mhm.
and the body is energy. And if you're putting something inside the body that has no vitality, no vital energy, you're spending more energy to break it down than it's giving back to you. And so that's how you weaken the immune system, by putting material into the body that has no vitality. And so I don't care if it has extra calcium in it or if it says it's high in protein. If it has no energy, which is basically a packaged food,
Mhm.
your body is being weakened because you're using more energy to digest it than you're actually getting back from the digestion. And so this is hard because we just think, oh, well, this food is good for you. Well, no, but energetically, you'll spend more energy breaking it down than you will getting it back. And I see that a lot in kids who are failing to thrive. Even though they're eating enough, they're failing to thrive because the energy it takes to digest what they're eating is greater than or equal to the energy that the food would have given to them, but didn't because they burned it up in trying to digest it. So, one, I do the counter test. Two, I talk about the energy of food.
Mhm.
So, eating seasonally, eating organic. I'm sorry, but eating strawberries in the Northern Hemisphere in the middle of January does not make any sense.
Nope.
And eating bananas at all in this part of the country makes no sense either, even during the summer. But I get so much crap for that, it isn't funny.
People love their bananas, I know.
But the last thing that I often say, I'll look at a kid, especially a kid that who is old enough to, logically think. I'll say, "Do you parents have a car?" Yeah. I said, "Let's say your parents bring me their car, and the gas tank gauge is empty, and they ask me to fill it up, and I fill it up, and the parents go to turn the ignition, it doesn't turn over, and they look at me like, 'What happened?' I said, 'What do you mean?' 'Well, what happened?' I said, 'I don't know. I filled up your gas tank. It says F, right? It's a nice full.' 'Yeah, but what'd you put in it?' So what does it matter? You asked me to fill the gas tank.' 'Yeah, but it matters what you put in the gas tank.' 'Oh, really? What? Why? You just asked me to fill it.' And they said, 'Well, what you put in?' I said, 'Oh, some milk, juice, soda, Gatorade, water.' 'Yeah, but you can't put that in a gas tank and expect the car to run.' And I say, exactly. So why do you have greater respect for the resilience of a car than you have for the resilience of your body? Because I hear all the time, Casper, well, I have to give my kid something.
Mhm.
I needed to give my kid something to eat. And that's no different than, well, I had to fill up the gas tank. I just had to fill it. And we are being irresponsible. And I know I'm going to get flack for that. We're being irresponsible by making sure the kid at least eats something. When, again, the return on what they're eating is less than optimal. And it's not enough to just give your kid something to eat just to make sure that your kid ate. And, I've had parents say to me over the years, "Oh, it's too hard to do what you're suggesting, Dr. Larry."
Yeah.
And I say to them, "You're right. It is too hard." I said, "But I have a question for you. Which is harder? The condition in which you're coming to me with regarding your child and continuing on the path that you're continuing on, or trying something new and seeing if there's a light at the end of the tunnel?" Because what you're doing is you're coming to me and saying, "What I've been doing for years is not working. It's hard. My kid is still sick. Still has these symptoms. There's chronic problems. This is hard to live with this." And now I'm giving you something hard as well. So you think you were looking for something easy, but I gave you something hard. But the only reason it's hard is because, number one, it's new. Number two, you're not asking the doctor to do it anymore. You're actually having the responsibility and accountability tossed back to you. And number three, I'm asking you to be an adult. And I'm asking you to do some adulting and take responsibility and be accountable for what is right for your child. And then number four, see if it makes a difference. Don't trust me, try it. And when I get to number four and parents are willing, they're curious enough to do it, and they see the results, they fly. They fly because they realize that it was hard, but now they have a different kid with a different health status. And they realize that they could be responsible. Whereas they were waiting for the doctor who said, "Nah, diet has nothing to do with it. Nah, putting your kid to sleep at a reasonable hour has nothing to do with it. Nah, taking the cell phone out of the kid's room had nothing to do with it." Right? Yeah, it had a lot to do with it.